What up everyone, it is Toshi, and today we are going to be talking about Mayuri Korutsuchi from Bleach, obviously. So we have volumes 34, 35 and 36, and volumes 70, 71 and 72. So why have I chose these two for this video? Well, because in volume 36 or 37, one of them in this anyway, we get to see Mayuri's fight with Zyleporo, and in this one we get to see his fight with Pernida, as well as, I believe, the Faccione fight isn't in here. However, the fight with Pernida is. So I've wanted to film this video for quite a while because I am a huge fan of Mayuri. I'm a big fan of the whole mad scientist type of character in general. But I think with Mayuri, it's done so perfectly that it's almost unreal. And in my personal opinion, he is the scariest captain in the Gote 13. Simply because he's scary for a different reason than the other captains, right? So he's not scary for the same reason Kenpachi is. Like, you know, Kenpachi is scary because he's big, he's strong, he's powerful, he loves to fight, and, you know, he's always, do you get me? He has no fear of death, he's always willing to fight. Yamamoto is scary because he's old, he's experienced, he's extremely powerful. Byakuya is scary because he's extremely powerful, you know. The majority of captains that are quite intimidating and fearful are only intimidating and fearful because of their abilities, and that's it. Mayuri is intimidating and fearful not just because of his innate abilities, but because of his knowledge and his not just willingness, but also eagerness to expand that knowledge and expand his abilities. We see him, you know, throughout the series of Bleach, constantly evolving, getting stronger, getting more intelligent, figuring out new things, you know, doing more research. And, you know, obviously it's fiction, it's not real, but you could imagine, you know, if you lived in a universe like that, Mayuri is definitely somebody that you want to be wary of and that you want to be sort of scared of, because, you know, you could sort of sit there and be like, oh, well, my abilities are stronger than his, you know, like I said, you know, when you take a character like Kenpachi and you take a character like Mayuri, I think you instantly go, I'd rather fight Mayuri than fight Kenpachi, because innately Mayuri is not as physically strong as a character like Kenpachi. Which, you know, and you'd be forgiven, I guess, for sort of thinking in that way. And I also suppose that, like, you know, I could understand that train of thought 100%. But, you know, I just think a character like Mayuri is a lot more intimidating than a character like Kenpachi, because like I've already said, characters like Kenpachi, like Yamamoto, it's all age, experience, strength, combat power, all that stuff. With Mayuri, it's not, it's knowledge. And I think what makes that so scary is that, you know, anyone can become stronger than anyone else, you know, like, especially, like, you know, in universes like Bleach, yeah, you have characters that are, like, you know, like, innately stronger than others, but there's always, like, a ladder, you get me? And we see that a lot in Bleach, you know, especially with, like, Ichigo, for example. We see him go from just being, like, your typical high school teenage boy to being, you know, a mediocre substitute Soul Reaper, and then he keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger, like, so, you know, it becomes clear in Bleach the characters can get more powerful, and I think that's what makes Mayuri so scary and so intimidating, is that, you know, if you wanted to, you know, you could train, you could get stronger, you know, so that's why, like, characters like Byakuya, like Kenpachi, like Ichigo, like Yamamoto, scary, powerful, you know, you wouldn't want to fight them. But, you know, as Ichigo has proved countless times, and I know plot armor had a lot to do with this, but as Ichigo proved countless times, you know, the more you train, the stronger you get. It is possible to, you know, become stronger than those around you. With Mayuri, it's a little bit different because, yeah, you can become physically stronger than him. You can have abilities that are innately stronger than his, but his knowledge will always find a way to outcapacitate yours. I don't think that's a word, but, like, you know, his knowledge and his strategies will always find a way to sort of outthink you. Like, he's always a couple steps ahead of everyone else. And it's the same deal with Kisuke, right? Obviously, I'll make a separate video on Kisuke, but, you know, he's extremely physically strong. We don't really get to see that towards, like, the beginning of the story. It's more towards, like, the 1000-Year Blood War arc that we see, like, the full extent of his strength. But, you know, we sort of like Kisuke, where, you know, we know they're physically strong, we know they're powerful, you know, as their captains, you get me? Well, Kisuke, ex-captain, Mayuri, current captain, but, you know, they're both captain level, you know, they're both strong, they're both powerful, and you wouldn't want to go up against them in a fight, but it's not just that, it's their mind you want to watch out for as well. You know, I think you could sort of say the same with Aizen too, only because I know with Aizen most of his strength was physical. Like he wasn't a god, but he'd almost reached that level, I suppose. But even Aizen was quite knowledgeable and quite smart. But you know, that could be, but nowhere near the same level as Mayuri, in my opinion. And so what makes Mayuri such a great character and such an intimidating character? Well, I mean, when we first start the series and we first sort of get introduced to him, it's a Soul Society arc, and the first time we see him in combat is against Uryu, and he's immediately introduced as a sort of creepy, scary kind of character with not much remorse or regard for anyone else except himself, and it becomes extremely clear straight away from the way that he talks to Uryu and about Uryu. He doesn't see people as people with souls and feelings and stuff like that. He sees them as test subjects, right? So we instantly see a lack of emotion with this character straight away. However, as the story goes on, we sort of see his connection with Nemu deepen quite a lot, especially towards the end of it, but that's besides the point for right now. So when we're introduced to him, we see him as sort of this character with no emotions, no feelings, not really care for anyone besides himself and his own research. And, you know, we see his Bankai, we see how strong that he is. Even though Uryu was, I suppose, eventually able to sort of overpower him, because he did win that fight. Even though Uryu was sort of able to overpower him, he was not able to outsmart him, at least in my opinion. Uryu won that fight because he overpowered him, he did not outsmart him. And we sort of like see like the way he treats Nemu in that fight. We sort of see him as, you know, he doesn't even have any compassion for Nemu, right? His own assistant captain, his own creation. Which I think gave Mayuri the impression he was a character none of us would like or care about, and he was a villain. You get me? And then we obviously had the Hueco Mundo arc, and you know, when Mayuri came in and he had the fight with Xyloporo, I think that's how you pronounce it. That's my favourite fight with Mayuri. Like, out of all of Bleach, my favourite scene with Mayuri, my favourite moment is his fight with Xyloporo. Partly because of his speech on perfection. So let me just rant about this for a second. His speech about perfection revealed a lot about him as a character and as a person. You know, how he doesn't believe in perfection and he would never want to, because in his opinion, if perfection was discovered, there would be nothing else to strive for, making life ultimately pointless, endless. Like, what's the point? Because obviously when Xyloporo claimed to be the perfect life form, the perfect being, Mayuri had basically stated that the moment you brought perfection into this conversation, like the moment you brought up perfection, you had already lost to me. Like, there was no way you were going to beat me after you had brought up perfection. Because as scientists, perfection is a dead end, because once you achieve perfection, there's nothing left to strive for. There's no reason to still fight, to still study, to still research, to still go out. Like, once perfection has been achieved, that's it. Like, it's game over. So that's why he says that, you know, as scientists, we should always strive for further progress, but never strive for perfection, because if we strive for perfection, when perfection is achieved, there is nothing else to do. Like, life becomes pointless and meaningless. And also, you know, we see quite a lot of his knowledge in his fight as well, because it's revealed that not only did he put some sort of surveillance drug, some sort of surveillance inside of Uryu to monitor Xyloporo and see his abilities, his powers, his personality, to sort of research him, he had also replaced all of his organs and tendons with dummies to prevent against Xyloporo's ability, all in the space of like under an hour, I believe. But I'm not too sure on like the exact like wording of that. So that definitely gave us an impression as to how intelligent this man really is. He had managed to put some form of surveillance inside of Uryu to monitor Xyloporo and prepare for the fight by replacing all of his organs and tendons in an extremely short amount of time. So that sort of goes to show how intelligent this man is. And you know, obviously he won that fight as well with almost minimal effort, it seemed like. And then obviously we get to the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, where, you know, the first thing we see, well, not the first thing we see, but the first thing that stands out to me is obviously Mayuri's new outfit, right? So he sort of discovers through his own research that the Quincy's ability, well, he more kind of assumes this, but through his research and his knowledge, he sort of assumes that the Quincy's powers had something to do with shadows, which obviously he was correct in assuming that. So he made a costume, an outfit that was so bright it would not allow shadows near him. So that in itself, you know, it seems like sort of common sense, but you got to think, nobody knew the Quincy's powers had anything to do with shadows. Nobody knew they even existed inside the Soul Society. So for Mayuri to sort of discover that before it was even confirmed is, you get me, that attests to his knowledge, to his extreme, to how scary and how smart this man is. You know, in the fight against the zombies, where who was the fight again? It was Giselle, I'm pretty sure, yeah. Was it Giselle was the one that could bring back the zombies? You know, where he creates his own zombies and he orders his Arancars to fight against the Facciones. So I cannot remember who the exact Arancars were and who the exact Faccione were. But, you know, we had Mayuri's zombies go up against Giselle's zombies. And obviously then, you know, Giselle brought out Toshiro, who was, you know, in zombie form. And Mayuri admits, so, you know, this is going to be bad. Like, you know, it's Captain of Squad 10, it's Toshiro, like, but, you know, he managed to defeat zombie Toshiro with a drug that, and this ties into Xylopolo as well, this is what I forgot to mention. When Mayuri defeats Xylopolo by using a drug that increases his senses to the point where everything seems to slow down, that to me is terrifying, because not only, because obviously what happened exactly, it was like Xylopolo was reborn using Nemu as a sort of surrogate, I suppose is the right word. And then Mayuri revealed something about what he had implanted a drug inside of. He had implanted loads of drugs inside of Nemu. I don't know. I believe this is how it went, but I could be wrong. He had implanted loads of drugs inside of Nemu. One of them had the ability to increase Xylopolo's senses so much to the point where everything seemed to slow down. So it just sort of, every second felt like 100 years, I guess. I have it, yeah, I have it right here, actually. Yeah, I do have it somewhere. Yeah, okay, here we go. Yeah, so he implanted a number of drugs inside of Nemu's body so that they'd be ingested if she was eaten. And yeah, one of them. Yeah, so he says that when two masters fight, their swords appear to move in slow motion. Time appears to slow down for them. It's a rare phenomenon that occurs when the senses are sharpened to the highest degree. This drug induces a similar effect. It allows anybody to experience that sensation. So basically, a bullet would appear to hang frozen in the air. So it's like, you know, like every second. He says that 1 second will feel like 100 years. Now, imagine being in Xylopolo's position there. Like, imagine going up against Mayuri and you're so confident that you think you've won this fight. Like, you are, like, you know, you did the whole reborn thing. Like, imagine, like, you are 100% confident that you win this fight. And then, not only are you wrong, not only do you lose the fight, but you lose the fight via a drug that has been injected into you that literally sharpens your senses so much to the point where time just slows down. And every second feels like 100 years. And we even see when Mayuri goes to pierce Xylopolo's chest, Xylopolo is basically begging for it to hurry up and just kill him because he doesn't want to live in that existence. Similarly, when Mayuri fought against zombie Toshiro, he used a drug that would basically, it was like a time loop. So every time zombie Toshiro would kill Mayuri, he would come back. He would kill him again, he would come back. Like, it was a drug that sort of put him in a time loop, which, you know, is also terrifying. If you've ever done any shrooms or like acid or anything like that, and you've gotten into like thought loops, and like, you know how scary that shit is. If you've never done any of that, don't, like, I'm not condoning you go do that stuff, but, you know, we've all messed about, we've all heard things, we've all seen things, we've all done things, like, but imagine just constantly being in a time loop, you get me? And then not even just that, you had the fight with Pernida. Is that how you pronounce it? I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. It's Pernida, isn't it? Yeah, I can't pronounce the last name, but I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Pernida. And he was later revealed to be the left arm of the Soul King. And that fight in itself, I mean, we saw Nemu die in that fight, and I think in this part of the story, it's like the only part of the story where we saw any actual real emotion come from Mayuri. Well, not even that, empathy I think is the better word, because we've seen emotion in Mayuri before, just not like sadness or anything. Like, we've seen him get overly ecstatic and happy and angry and stuff like that. So we've seen him get emotional, but we've never seen him show any signs of like remorse or empathy or anything like that up until we saw Nemu get killed by Pernida. And also, not just that, he altered his... Ooh, nearly threw my book then. He also altered his Bonkai. Let me find the name before I try to say it completely, because obviously his Bonkai is Konjiki Asisogi Jizo, but I don't know what the altered state was called, so I will find that in a few seconds. But yeah, no, we saw him alter his Bonkai, and to even just do that is like, yeah, so Konjiki Ashisoki Jizo Matai Fukuin Shotai. So, and obviously that was the artwork, and it just obviously allowed him to give birth to a new Ashisogi Jizo that was, you know, edited and altered. So obviously the newer one was used to defeat Pernida, by, you know, stuff like putting like the nerves on like high layers and like 7,000 layers. Like, so it was a very confusing thing. But you know, he had altered his Bonkai, and even when Pernida had ingested his Bonkai and killed Nemu, you know, it was revealed that there was loads of drugs, you know, in them that when ingested, what was his exact quote? It had killed Pernida because Pernida had ingested it, and it was what? It was death by over something. Yeah, I've got it. So this is where Nemu dies. Yeah, so Pernida feeds on Nemu after killing her, and it says that Nemu's, I can't pronounce that, one of her glands has a compulsory accelerated cell division organ implanted in it. And basically, when Pernida ingested that organ without the cerebrum, which is what Mayuri took from Nemu, he self-destructed from excessive growth. So, sorry, that's a little bit confusing. Like, I've tried to research, but I can't remember like every single little thing, and I hope you don't expect me to remember like every single little thing, because I am only human. But, you know, it just... He's a very scary character. He's a very scary and intimidating character, purely because it's not just his strength you have to worry about. Like, it's not just how fast he is or how strong he is or what abilities he has. It's all the tricks he has up his sleeve, and it's his mind you want to be scared of. And I think that's what makes him, like I said, like that's what makes him so scary, in my opinion, compared to other captains like Kenpachi, like Yamamoto, like Shunsui, like Jushiro. Is, yeah, they might all have these extremely strong abilities and physical strength and speed and all of that, but Mayuri has proven time and time again he does not need any of that. Like, what all these other captains brag and boast about having, Mayuri does not need, and he has no desire to have that. So, I mean, let me know what you guys think in the comments about Mayuri. Do you like him? Do you dislike him? Why do you like him? Why do you dislike him? Do you not care about him? And if so, why do you not care about him? But yeah, sorry if this video was a little bit long and confusing. It's just, there's a lot to Mayuri as a character, and I don't think anyone could remember like every single little detail about him, his backstory, his history, his abilities and all that, and put it all into one video. I couldn't, and like, I know I could probably write it down and script it, but I do not like scripted videos at all, purely because, like, if I'm just sat there reading from a script like this and just constantly looking back up, like, no one wants to watch that. So I'd rather just like risk forgetting a few things, and you guys can always correct me in the comments. I'm just like, I can always redo the video and post another one in the future if I miss anything out. It's not that big of a deal. I'd rather just present myself how I am and do my videos like this rather than making it scripted. But no, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all of that, and I will see you all in the next one. This is Toshi, signing out.